Good afternoon, Remy.
Well, technically it's still morning. It's 11:30.
I've already had lunch. No coffee. I'm on to water. H2O.
I came out of the rain, so I'm still on coffee because it never stops raining in California anymore.
Something, man. Something. Um, what else is going on?
Nothing. Branded a lot of cows this weekend. I got as much riding in as I could the last couple days, and yeah.
It's middle of the day here, and we're working horses, so I'm sure my kids and dogs are going to be in and out, so don't mind them or me. Um,
What'd you do last weekend?
you know, Brandon and I went to Vegas. We went to the Stallion Stakes, which dogs. I don't think that we've been away from our kids overnight since we left Minnesota. So it was kind of a big deal. And weird too because I mean, I feel like I bitch about my kids a lot, but we're around them so much, Remy, and I do love them. I miss them. I missed them so bad when we were gone, and we were only gone for 2 nights. And I who would have thought that you could miss somebody that much? So
My little one last night came in and goes, "Can I cuddle you for a minute?" And I was like, "It is late. You should be asleep." And I let him cuddle, and then like about 2 minutes later, he like gives me a kiss, and he's like, "I love you, mama," and then like ran out and went to sleep. So
I love that. I love that. I definitely have cuddled with them the last couple nights. Um, it's crazy how you can go from one extreme to the next with that because you get annoyed by them and you're like, oh, I need my space. And then, like I said, I was, shit, I miss my kids. How, what? Why?
no.
I do have a funny story about Vegas. So I don't know where Brandon was, but they have a convention, like a small trade show type deal at Stallion Stakes. And he was off doing his thing, and I said, I'm going to go look around the trade show. And I've had this allergy sinus thing, and so I kind of not feeling great. And um, I'm walking around there, and like those women who sell like face creams,
Yeah.
or you know who I'm talking about,
Mm-hmm.
like the ones that you're like, shit, I shouldn't have went down this aisle. So I'm always like looking away from them because if they get you, you're fucked. And so I tried to I was like, shit. So I'm like looking away, and she grabbed my arm and pulled me into her booth. And this particular one was selling is like an under eye cream. And she started telling me about her product, and she's like, do you have bags under your eyes? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't really think so. And she's like, well, this will help with that. I'm like, okay. And she's talking to me about my skincare regimen, which I really don't have one besides washing my face daily and moisturizer. And so she puts this stuff underneath of my eyes. Just the one eye, though, Remy. And
They only it's like when you get free makeup done at the mall, they only do half of
I
your
know.
face.
And as she's doing it, I'm thinking, shit, why did I let her do this? And so she does it. She puts it under my left eye, and she shows me the mirror, and she's like, look, your bags are gone. And I'm like, well, son of a gun, I do have bags under my eyes. And the noticeable difference from this one to this one. And then, she, of course, she goes into her selling spiel about buying the product. And I'm like, well, how much is it? It's like a thing like this on sale for $2.99. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna really have to think about that. But I almost did it because it was a big difference. So then a half hour late, and then I'm like, well, I'll come back. I'll think about it and come back. And I'm sure she was like, yeah, I've heard that before. So anyway, Brandon comes back then a half hour later, and he looks at me and he's like, what the hell's wrong with your face? When the stuff dried, it was white. So I literally had like this white patch under my eye, walking around with that. Did not know, Remy. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. So then I had to go to the bathroom, and it was like glue. That's why it was so effective. it was pulling my skin down because it was like
you know, you could buy a bottle this big of Elmer's glue and let it dry clear.
Oh my God. Like, what an ordeal.
Yeah.
How many people?
I'm half Sicilian, so like we tend to have thinner skin under our eyes anyway. Like, so I should always look dark. I always look tired. It's okay. I always like when they try and tell you like, oh, like this will fix your hair, and I'm like, is that are you saying that I'm ugly? Are you saying that this whole situation isn't fantastic?
Yeah. Wow. Thanks, buddy. Yeah. So yeah, that was only the only funny thing that happened while we were there that I can think of. Otherwise, not much.
Yeah, we had baseball on Saturday, and Sunday we went and checked pastures, and we gathered a bull, and he was an asshole, and yeah, and then I rode another pasture, and it was just pretty, and I ate well, and Sunday was a nice day. And then Monday we branded a bunch of cattle.
So
yesterday I rode horses all day, and then went to baseball practice again because 'tis the season for being at baseball every day. And today I rode in the rain because it wasn't that bad, but now it's really raining. So
it's just been really nice here. It's not been raining at all. In fact, we've been in the 80s, but I mean, like Prescott again, that road that we are so fortunate that we were able to have the sale because the road is completely gone and has been since last Tuesday. And it's just hard for me to even understand or believe, but the county and city have done nothing about it.
Yeah, so my girlfriend, remember I told you my chiropractor has a pothole in front of his house?
Yeah.
And my girlfriend lives just past him. And so she sends me a video, and like the pothole now is the entire road, and it's wide and it's deep. And it's always filled with water, so people don't think it's that bad. A school bus got caught in it. They had to get it out with a tractor and like a wrecker. And then the same school bus driver drove back the next day and tried to go up in the dirt on the side, and it's really deep, and she got stuck again. So, don't go that way. It's not good.
I know, it's so crazy. So crazy, the moisture that, I guess we should be thankful because
we are
moisture is better than droughts.
We do a different kind of asphalt because it's not meant to hold a lot of water because it's meant for the heat and cracking. But when it rains, all the stuff floats up here. So
yeah, crazy.
So this week we're going to talk about pocket lint, and I will describe what pocket lint is.
Yeah, I'm this is going to be a treat for all of us because I know what pocket lint is, but I'm pretty sure that what I think it is and what Remy thinks it is, it's not the same.
Yeah, so we're gonna call it the pocket lint problem. As a trainer, as a coach, your job is to make everyone, and if you're a horse trainer, their horses, the best that they can be. But some days it's just a bad day, right? So I joke about like some days people come and you're like, look, your horse is pretty and you're awesome. And that's what we're going to leave it at today. So we have a group of ladies that one day we were doing something and she goes, I'm not feeling it today. She's like, I was like, yeah, the sun's in the wrong spot. The wind's blowing the wrong direction. She's like, my sock is slipping down. And my other friend's like, and I have pocket lint. So that's where this comes from, is like, you have those days where it's not even like anything's really gone wrong, just nothing feels right. So how do you as a trainer and a coach or as an individual handle the days where you have pocket lint? And it's much nicer to call it pocket lint than a horrible, no good, very bad day. Because again, it's something dumb that just sets your day off. And we call it pocket lint days.
A few years ago, we were at a horse show and it was a 3-day horse show and nothing was going right for me other than the fact that I was able to wake up and feed my horses and saddle. That was about it. And I was kind of down in the dumps about it and complaining. And one of my girlfriends was like, but you look cute. And so now that's our thing when you're having a bad day, but you look cute. So you got that going for you.
Yeah. So that's the other part of this is, I had say it's actually the pocket lint client. And I was like, but you rode really well. And she did ride. This is like at another show. I'm like, you rode really well. She's like, don't tell me that. I didn't win anything. Nothing went, like, I didn't ride well. So we had that conversation. And like 6 months later, I'm in Calgary and made the finals, was leading it coming into like maybe the 10, maybe the 14. And just everything went wrong for us. And we ended up placing, but we should have won it. And I come out and my mom, and like, I'm disappointed. And my mom's like, but you rode so well. And I was like, don't tell me how fucking well I rode. And my client's like sitting there just laughing. So for us, where I was like, not to everyone, because I do say it to people, but like to her, it'll be the same thing, right? But you rode well. But you rode well. So my job as a trainer and a coach, right, is to break down, why is your day not good? Is it your horse? Because a lot of people want to blame their animal, and you can't blame your animal when it's you. I mean, you can blame whoever you want, but so my approach is like, okay, so let's talk about things that have nothing to do with what we're doing in the pen, right? Like, how's your husband? How's your wife? How are your kids? And usually the basic questions lead you to a different answer, right? There's something going on at home, and or at work or whatever. And for most people, horses and penning and sorting in general are a release from that stress. So my job is to help them through the pocket lint days, which means that I'm going to tell them their horse is pretty, or sit there and listen to them. Like, we give lessons in the round pen, right? And sometimes those lessons consist of nothing more than us doing some slow, dry work and listening to people's problems for 45 minutes to an hour. And it's the same thing, like you talk about coaching, right? You have to have someone on the sidelines that pushes you through, whether it's telling you where your cow is or how to ride, because most of us know the mechanics of what we're doing, but you have to have that voice outside of yourself. You also have to have it inside yourself, outside of yourself, that gives you the confidence to keep moving forward.
Well, I mean, I've definitely been there where I don't do it as much as I used to do, but I probably still do. But I think it's something I have to work on all the time. And it's a mental game, right? Because you tell yourself that you're not good, or you tell yourself that you suck, and you focus on something that you shouldn't be focusing on. Like for me, I was always focusing on a check or the win. I mean, that was how I decided if I was successful or not. And so I found out, like, the more I focused and concentrated hard on that piece of it, boy, I would just suck. And it was like I'd never rode before. And so then I just had to like start breaking it down. And I went through a big period where I needed somebody to tell me that I was doing something right. And I didn't care how little the piece was. And I find that with a lot of the clients that I deal with, is a lot of the clients that I deal with are just learning how to ride. And when you couple that with competing, it takes many, many years for some, it takes many years to find success. It's not like, it doesn't happen for most. Overnight success is not found in riding horses. For most, there are a handful of people who can start out and do really well, but it's just like anything. You have to keep trying. And I've found this winter, a couple of the clients that I have or work with, they're just beating themselves up terribly. And I'm like, you have to find small things that they're doing and make it a big deal. And it is kind of a big deal, because if you think about, like, they've been riding only for 6 months. I'm like, shit, I think you guys are doing good. They didn't even ride ponies when they were little. I mean, they just literally started riding, and they're 40-some years old. So it's
No, we do the same thing, because people will be like, oh, I've been riding my whole life. I said, okay, like, what did you do? Oh, I've trail rode and I rode bareback my whole life. I said, okay, and this is going to sound horrible. It's like, there's a difference between sitting on a horse and riding one. It's like, now we're asking to ride really athletic animals at a high rate of speed.
I was just going to say, and fast. And
you're
read
using
another animal on top of it.
and you're using that animal to control multiple other animals.
Yeah.
So,
and another partner.
Yeah. So there's a lot of brains going on when we pen and sort, and even just when you ride. So I do the same thing, right? And I tell, like, especially when we work in, like, when I work one-on-one with people, what's your, like, what are we working on? Right. And they'll be like, everything. Some people come with a plan, not very many, honestly. Some people come with a plan, but most people are like, whatever you think I need fixed. And I go, well, tell me what you're having problems with so we can address.
Start there.
Start there. And then, you know, a lot of times when you fix one problem, you either highlight another or you actually fix something else in the meantime. So like I said, for us, like I do a lot of dry work because
Me too.
if
If you can't do it in the if you can't do it out in the arena without any cows, you're probably not going to be able to do it with cows. I mean,
yeah, and that's like, so we have 100-foot round pen. And I tell people, like, I don't lope a circle bigger than that, no matter where I'm at. I don't lope ovals. Like, I need my horses to lope a perfect circle. Because if they aren't paying attention to me in a circle, they're not going to pay attention to me on a cow. Or not for long, right? Because some people are like, oh, they're really bad in the dry. Fair enough. But they're so good on a cow. Well, are they just not a nice dry workhorse, but they pay attention? Because that's also different, right? They might just
it
not
is.
be,
We've got
right?
horses like that. These
That are, they're like not a classy moving horse, fair enough, but they're paying attention. They're doing what you're asking for them. And it's the same thing. It's building, it's the same thing. It's building habits. So when you lope those horses around, are their shoulders up? Are they where they're supposed to be? Do you have to babysit them in that stride? Because my deal is like, I don't want you to babysit. Whatever speed we set them at, they should stay at that until I ask for something else. And again, it's like this little bit of respect, and it's little steps, right? It's little building blocks of respect that carry you all the way through. But if you don't have them and then you want to go fast, eventually the wheels fall off. And then you think I didn't do my job. Well, I did my job. You just didn't listen to me until the wheels fell off. And then you realize the value of it.
Just like keeping a horse's shoulder up when you're loping. I mean, you and I mean, that's just a no-brainer. Like, we know how to do that. A lot of the people I work with they don't know they know nothing about any of that. They don't know how to hold a horse or how to carry a horse, where to put their legs. None of that, because they've never had to do that. They've never been taught to use their legs to maneuver their horse. They've never had to.
No, and it's like, for me, I always thought, like, my big thing is a little bit of ask for a big response. So, and that's why, like, I use the term babysitting a lot. I don't want you to babysit your horse all the time, because even if they were trained and you babysit them all the time, you take away all that training eventually, because now they just rely on you. So I want a super willing partner in my animal when I'm doing things. And I do that by a lot of like pick up and then release, pick up and then release. So you can go get on. And the other reason I do it, and it's because I'm fucking late everywhere. If I go and jog my good horses like 2 circles each way and lope a circle each way, and do it the right way, mentally they're ready. They might not be physically warmed up. Mentally they're ready to go, because that's the same pattern that we've established the whole time through. And it's the same thing with daily life, right? If you want to achieve these big goals, there's a lot of small steps that people just take for granted all the way through, right? Like, you can't run a giant company if you didn't have a business plan and figure out how to get there. We have dogs or children?
I think it's children. Definitely children.
So, you know, you have to, and I think people get excited about the big picture, right? About going fast and all that, but you win it doing all the dry work at home.
You know, Remy and I were talking this morning, and I made the comment, because like our season is almost done in Arizona. A lot of our guests have gone home. Our events are over for the year here. Now it's just like our time as a family, and things slow down rapidly after the horse sale. And it's been that way for the last 2 to 3 years. And I just don't feel very accomplished after that, or during in like this time frame, because the queen of procrastination. I'm not, though, when I'm super busy and have many irons in the fire. I feel like I'm do a good job keeping them all in line and going. But as soon as it slows down, my God, I don't know what happens or triggers me to.
It's enjoying the chaos. It's the same thing for me, right? Like, if I have only one thing to do, and that's all I'm going to do, I find other things to do before the one thing. Like I saw the meme yesterday. It's like I put something off for 6 months and it took me only 15 minutes to do. I will learn nothing from this lesson. I'm like, oh, that's me. Like that's me.
Yeah, I know.
But
Okay.
if I have a lot of things to do, I know I can't put them all off because there will be no break to get it done.
You and I are very similar when it comes to that. I think that I don't know. We're both a little ADHD. We get caught and enamored by other things very quickly.
I also get bored of other things very quickly.
Oh.
Like, you see those deals where it's like if you have, like, this is a sign of ADHD in women, and it's like a long list of crafts. I'm like, I own all those things. I've done all those things.
I do not. That's where we differ. I do not own any of that shit. Yeah.
But I think that the other hard part is, like, I was not having a good day today. I hurt my back doing something really dumb yesterday. So I was having a pocket lint day today. And I was riding the horse, and same thing. She just wanted to drop her shoulder a little bit, and I got after her more than I probably needed to. And I caught myself like 10 seconds into it, and I was like, take a deep breath. It's just a bad day. Like, same thing as we talked about, right? Like, it's like when you spill your cup of coffee and then your pant loop gets hung on the door, and you're like, fuck this day. And you're like, it's not even a bad day. Those were two minor inconveniences for you. But it happens when you ride, right? And it can start as soon as you go to get your horse. Like maybe they walked to the back of the pen, or maybe they didn't stand completely still when you saddled, or they didn't pick up the lead right away, or you thought the cow was going to turn and then it didn't. Well, you can't let all those minor inconveniences mount up mentally in your brain, because
but it does.
It does. And
I'm here to tell you, it does.
It's seeking that negative. Well, quit seeking the negative and realize maybe it's a pocket lint day for you.
You know, too, the other thing within this sport is, you know, since you're playing on a team, some days, like, this really sucks when you have your shit together, like mentally and physically, and you're like just doing all the right things in the right time, and then your partners are the ones who can't get their shit together. That also sucks. But it goes, I mean, it goes with it. It's hand in hand because it's a team sport, and you have to be able to take that too.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that it's a team sport sometimes. That's why James always liked calf roping, because he's like, if I mess up, I messed up. I didn't mess up for anyone. No one messed up for me. It was just
right.
But it is. So we had Kyle had batting cage practice yesterday, and this is why when people don't. So there's a couple different. So I'm going to get back to the batting cage. There's a couple different kind of horse trainers, right? There's horsemen that are phenomenal and can train a horse like you can't believe.
They cannot teach.
And they cannot teach. They cannot articulate. There's some people, and you really see it in the English world more, just because you have more. We call them ground crew. You have more ground guys that are phenomenal on the ground and can get you around the ring. They see everything, and then you watch them ride, and you're like, how do you not ride for as well as you teach? You know all the things, and you just don't look that nice on a horse.
I feel like I'm that person. I do sometimes. I do. I feel like I can see the greater picture for others, where it's harder for me to see it for myself. Or, I mean, I love to ride still, but I feel like I know exactly what you're talking about with the ground crew. And there's a lot of Western trainers that are the same way. I mean, look at in the reining, you could probably name a hand, or, you know, quite a few of them, and you could probably do the same in reining cow horse and cutting. There's a lot of good people who they can't get one through a class, but they can coach the hell out of somebody.
Yeah, and so you see it, and then you got some guys that don't really know what they're talking about, but they're super encouraging. Like, and I'm not saying that in a negative way. Like, they know a lot of big things, but they don't know how to fix the minutia. And you see a lot of actually very good beginner riders come out of them because they are encouraging. They know all the big steps. They know how to get you to a point. And if they really care about you as a client and as an equestrian, they usually end up sending you on to someone that can
take you to the next level.
And then the magic happens when you can articulate and talk to people, and you're a horseman, and you're like a competitive coach. So this is where it goes back to for the batting cage. So my son can hit like you cannot believe, and just a lot of power. But he has no confidence when someone's pitching to him at a game. He can hit off of anyone in a practice all day long. Batting cage, no problem. But he gets up there and he just, if it's not perfect, he won't swing. And I told him, I'm like, I'd rather have you strike out swinging than strike out looking. Just swing. If you mess up, you mess up, but you have to attempt it. So there's an older coach and on the team, and he's tapping Kyle's helmet on his ears, right? He goes, baseball is all played up here. Doesn't matter how good you are. Everything is. But that's what I'm saying is all the good tenets of coaching, like every good coach I've had, whether it was for soccer, for gymnastics, for English, for Western, it does not matter. They work on your mental game long before they work on the mechanics. You're working on the mechanics too. Mechanics are pretty easy. They really are. If you just get out of your own way, the mechanics of what we're doing is not hard. But being mentally strong and having someone that really cares about you and invests a lot into you, that is more important than anything. And not all coaches are for everyone. Like, I think I've talked about it on here. I found these old videos of me when I was like really little doing gymnastics. And I now understand like where my coaching cadence comes from, like the tone that I use. And it's from I had this coach named Richard. And I'm like messing around on the trampoline because we were working on something and I'm messing around. He's like, you're like the cat that ate the canary. Like either be serious or don't waste my time. And I'm like 6 years old. So I kind of see like me get a little more serious and I do it. He goes, okay, good. So you can do it. So you can do it. And he just like, okay, yeah, I can do it. But like, that wasn't that much fun. But all he was telling me is like, you had your time to mess around. Now you're wasting my time and you're wasting your time. And I think that people don't think about that with any kind of coach, right? Again, baseball, soccer, swimming, diving, water polo. Like my water polo coach was horrible. Like, I mean, as far as you did not mess around ever. And I was in high school playing water polo. Like you did not mess around, because if you messed around, she just told you to get out of the pool. And like, you got one warning. And after you like gotten you got like one warning for the season, like not per day, for the season. Good. So I was not a great water polo player. I love to swim. I just, I didn't like being at practice at like 5:30 in the morning. Wasn't great for me. But all the great tenets of coaching apply to everything. And when you have a good coach in any field, they might be better at their specified field, but the way that they talk to people, the way that they engage with people, the way that they look at the mental aspect of any game, you can learn a lot from very good coaches, even if they don't know what they're talking about specifically, right? Because again, winning is mental. Losing is mental too. It is. Because you can get caught in that trap, like where nothing you do is right. And the hardest parts for me is like, look, we all like to win, but I will ride like shit sometimes and win. And I'm like, I don't know how that happened. Maybe I just need to not try as hard next time. And there'll be other times when your horse is phenomenal and you rode great and you're like, I couldn't get out of the first round. And those are hard for me. Like I did all the things. I did everything I was supposed to. I was in the right spot and it just.
Yeah, I'm better now about that. Like I've self-taught myself, like just be grateful that you rode good, your horse did good. Where I think that probably 2 years ago, I would have been in a corner like crying because what the hell, I'm quitting this, I'm having a meltdown. I had a client I was working with this winter, early on in the winter, and she would come for private lessons with me, and she had sorted quite a bit and penned back in the day, but then she just came back into it. La 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 la. Anyhow, her and I working together, and when it's just her and I, she's phenomenal. She's doing all the right things and looks great. And I'm like, you're going to do exceptional this weekend. You are riding so good. And we go to a show that next weekend. And I was baffled, Remy, because I watched her ride and I'm like,
you're like, who is that person? Because that's not the person I've seen, right?
What is going on? No, and I thought about it for a long time, like, because as you know, we drive back and forth when we go to shows here. So I had a long time to think about it. I thought about it all day as I watched her, and I didn't want to say anything because I'm like, something does not add up. I mean, she's lessoned with me multiple times. This woman's a good rider. what the hell's going on? And then I watched her throughout the day, and I was like, not the same person. So I thought about it more on the way home, and she had gone through a bad divorce quite some time ago, actually, but it's still fucking with her head. And I put it all together as like, when she gets in front of people, she stops believing in herself
Mhm.
because she's been told for so long that she's a piece of shit and she can't do it. When it's just
No,
her and I, she looks like she's better than I am. I mean,
yeah, and
she's great.
it's one of those things like and I've told that story on here too, right? I had a good client that got in a wreck on a horse, and then we were somewhere, and she was just riding really timid, and we were actually in Fort Worth, and I took her back underneath the sale barn, and I was like, I need you to see this. I'm a bad motherfucker. And she's like, I'm a bad motherfucker. And I was like, no, real loud, because you have to believe it. And so again, when you surround yourself, not with friends, with family, with coaches, they have to believe in you when you don't believe in you.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have to not prey on them believing in you. So I had another girlfriend. She shows English horses. She's been riding for a long time. And I was in the barn, and she actually called her mom. Her mom rides with me. She called her mom, and she's like, I can't do anything right. And the trainer says that I shouldn't do this. And I like just this. And well, I'll let you talk to Remy. Remy, what do you think? I was like, go in there. Don't even worry about winning. Don't even worry about being fast. Go make sure you get over, just go have a clean round. Shoot for having a clean round. That's all you need.
Yeah, some days that's all you can, like.
And so I was talking to her a couple days later. I was like, wait, I heard you had a clean round. She's like, yeah, but like, my trainer was telling me all these things, and I feel like I was just having a bad day. Goes back to the pocket lint day, right? And I said, okay, did you broach that subject with your trainer, or did you, when she told you something, did you automatically respond with an excuse? I go, because I will tell you, as I've gotten older, I'm really good at listening to the excuses and just smiling and nodding. Younger trainers are not as good at it because they want to, and it's not even a mean thing. They want to fix it for you, right? I don't like the color red. Okay, then don't wear red, right? Where now I'd be like, well, it looks good on you, right? Red looks good. It looks good with your horse. And I'm using the most not like inconsequential thing by using the color red. But like, my job is, hey, you look good in red. Red's not the problem right now. This is the problem. And as a horse trainer, you become the vessel for a lot of people's problems, but you also get to help them see clarity because you're not fully invested in their whole life, right? You're invested in this part of their life, not their entire life. And you really see how little people believe in themselves, again, when they get in front of an audience. And the inverse is true. You see some people that are very timid, and then there's money on the line, and you're like, it's the same thing. Where's this person? Because I've never seen this person before. Mm-hmm. So you did pay attention to all the stuff we talked about. You just didn't want to use it until we're here.
And like with this woman, I thought back that night, like, to some things that she had told me in the past. And, like I said, she's a really good rider, and she would always, like, I shouldn't say she would always, but she would make mention about, oh, I can't ride that horse. It doesn't fit me. No, actually, you could probably ride whatever the frick you wanted to because you're that good. You just don't believe in yourself. And it wasn't until that day at the show that I actually saw something in her that I'd never saw before. And that was, she doesn't believe in herself whatsoever. She loses all confidence as soon as she steps in front of these people. So I did call her. I called her the next day, and I was like, listen, I feel very strongly about that I should be telling you this. I'm like, because I saw something this weekend that I've never seen before in you. Like, I don't know if I've ever told you before, but when you're with me, you ride like a rock star. When it's just you and I out there, you are really freaking good. And I feel like you have the talent to ride whatever is put in front of you. You would make it work. That's the rider that you are. I'm like, but the rider that I saw this weekend is not that same. Why? Well, I think it all goes back to her, prior to her divorce, and somebody knocking her down, maybe telling her that she wasn't worthy, that she wasn't good enough. And I think that she just believed it over time.
No, and it's like you can get space, and then, it can be the dumbest thing that triggers you to get back to the bad space, right? It can be something very small. Sometimes it's big things, but sometimes it can be something really small. And again, you need someone in your corner that can recognize it for you and has space away from it and can be like, that's not true. None of those things that they told you, they weren't true. And that person doesn't hold power. That group doesn't hold power over you anymore. But it's hard. It's hard. It's very hard to mentally break out of that.
Yeah, and I feel like, because I have been there. I have been there. I hope that I don't go back, but I'm sure it's my personality to go back on that. I mean, um, it the only person who can do it for you is yourself. You, like, people can tell you how to get through it and you can try their methods, but I feel like you have to come up with your own way to.
No, and it's like when we talk about the same thing, we talk about your circle, we talk about your coach, we talk about your spouse, we talk about your family. You ultimately are the captain of your ship, right? You're the captain of your ship, act like it. But at the same time, when your ship goes adrift, sometimes you need someone to be like, it's not bad. Just get back behind the wheel, right? Find however you can to get out of it, but you'll get out of it. And this is just a bad day, right? The universe doesn't hate you. People don't hate you. It's just a shitty day or a
Yeah.
shitty minute, you know? And that was like for me on Sunday we went and people talk about California all the time and how they want to leave, and there's unparalleled beauty in California. So we were riding on a mountainside with oak trees and very deep grass and waterfalls everywhere and big fat fluffy cows. And you take a deep breath and you look at all of that and it's like, you know what? All the rest of it I can survive because my soul resonates with this right here.
I think that you and I are probably at the same spot mentally right now where we're probably questioning a lot of I'm questioning a lot of things. I have a feeling that you are in the same thing. You're questioning a lot of things and you're like, God, am I doing the right thing? Am all of it. Like, am I on the right path? Am I doing the right thing? Are we spending the right money in this spot, in this spot? Is everything going to work out? Minds are going a million miles an hour. What's the next thing we got to do? And you start questioning all of that internally. And I have been like, I feel like I got away from it for a while, not doing a very good job of praying and being thankful for what is in front of me. And um, I've come to the realization over the last 5 days, like, you need to settle your ass down, take a deep breath, because I get so whipped up, Remy. I mean, like, over things that have not happened, may never happen, haven't been talked about. I mean, um, crazy. And I'm like, you just need to, if I could do one thing better, I wish I could learn how to live more like in the now and be be mindful and aware of all the good things that are happening right in the moment. Does that make sense?
It does. I got a letter from your sister who's awesome. And
He
she
watches
wrote
it. You're
she
still here.
she wrote something that like, and it's going to what you say, right? She goes, I'll always pray, swing the gate wide, Lord, so I don't miss what he's trying to tell me. I need big clues because sometimes I want what I want so badly I ignore his clues. And it's true, right?
Yeah.
I can bitch about what's happening to our property. I can bitch about my horse training business. I can bitch about the production business, but really we have a lot of it settled. Like, not the big picture, but we have workarounds for all of it. And again, then you go out and you go check those cows on Sunday and you're like, but this is enough, right? This is enough for me. I don't have to have all those other things. They're fun. They're part of my identity. But again, I'll survive that. I've survived everything so far.
You know
But
what's
in the
crazy?
but in the moment, it's fucking terrifying. And it's
Okay.
terrifying for me because it is part of me, right? Training horses is who I've been for a very long time. And I really enjoy it. And then you know, for all the negative things I heard, I had a lot of nice phone calls from people, and I got a nice letter from your sister. So
Well, I think too, like, because I've had a lot of those moments lately too. But then what pisses me off is like, because when you're in that moment and you're at peace and you're like, God has been very good to me. Look at what is placed right in front of me right now. This is all I would ever need. And then as soon as you get out of that spot and you go back into reality, you're just like, oh my God. I feel like, oh my God, I told you. Folks, I've quit watching TV, the news, long time ago, a couple years now. And we
But
do
Brandon
not,
made her watch it this weekend.
yeah, we don't have a TV in our bedroom here, so we can't fall asleep to the news. It's lovely. In Minnesota, we do. I wake up, panicked. I'm going to throw the thing out the window as soon as I get back home because I don't ever want to go back to life with the TV unless I'm watching Netflix, like the Hallmark Channel when I go to bed. Anyhow, we had a TV in our bedroom this weekend at the hotel, and we fall asleep with the news on. And I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning in sheer panic because Singapore had two banks that went bankrupt that day or something. And I'm like, oh my God, should we be moving money? What should we be doing? I probably don't have to worry about this shit, but I don't ever hear it. And then they were talking about the recession, and I'm like, good Lord, Brandon, I don't know how people can listen to this. I don't think people should be blissfully unaware, but I don't think it's a bad thing either.
No, it's and again, right? So those are big things out of your control. Those aren't pocket lint things. Those are big things out of your
I
control.
know.
But it is one of those things, right? Start small. Again, just like training horses, just like getting good at any sport, start small. So, was it a bad day? No, maybe. Who knows? Or was it a bad hour? Right? Was it a bad minute? Was it a bad whatever? And I always like James gets upset because I'm like, oh, we'll be okay. It'll be okay. Everything will be okay. And he's like, it's not going to be okay because we have to keep working. I'm like, but that's exactly why it'll be okay because we will
I
never
don't
stop
plan
working.
on not working
Yeah.
though. So
Like, I don't think that the universe is going to deliver my answer to me, but it'll be okay. Everything will be okay. I'll be okay. And
so
I
I
would like,
saw this thing the other day and I almost sent it to you. Now I wish I could really remember what it said in full. It was talking about like the downturn of something or like stumbling, going through a big problem. That's what it was talking about. Is like going, sometimes the greatest opportunity is on the other, it's just on the opposite side of a problem. And there's so much truth to that. And we've talked about that too. I feel like some of the greatest changes in our life have happened after something we've not had a failure necessarily, but like one chapter is closed in our book. And at the time when it closes, it's like, how are we going to go on or whatever? And
no,
it
and
sucks
it
to go
was,
through it.
I was talking to my dad when all this stuff started coming up, and my dad's where I get all my warmth from. He's so fuzzy too, just like me. And he goes, I just want you to know I'm really proud of you. And if you don't want to continue in this, don't see it as a failure. It's just the close of this part of your life. He's like, because you'll be successful. You work too hard, you're too smart. He's like, but if you don't want to keep working this hard, and I work hard, that's what I do. He's like, or just find a different way to work hard. But you are using your body every day and you're paying a price for it. And it's true, right? I pay a price with my mental health. I pay a price with my physical health. I have to go see the chiropractor because I messed up my sciatica again yesterday, pulling the drag off of the hot walker.
I'm
Because
pretty sure that my mental health would be sacrificed no matter what I did.
well, and but it's one of those things, right? If I just work hard enough, I can keep the demons at bay. Well, you can only keep them at bay for so long, and so. But at the end, I will pay the price physically for. I was talking to someone actually a couple of days ago, and I said, "Hey, I can have guys working for me." So I was up early every morning cleaning, 15 to 20 pens, and then riding 15 to 20 horses. I said, "I'm too old for that." And he goes, Remy, no one's young enough for that. And I was like, but I don't think about it that way because just go to work, put your head down, work harder, you'll be successful. And I was talking to Laura Lee Ward, like I love her. And I was talking to her one day and she made herself really sick. She was just working too hard. She actually had to go to the hospital because she ended up with like flu B or whatever. And I told her, and it's true, and like you see it all over Facebook, right? No one gives you an award for how hard you work. They don't care if you're suffering in silence. They don't care if you're suffering out loud. They just don't care. And I was like, and when you realize that, right, that if you want to work hard for you, awesome. But the same guys that want you to work hard, when you falter, when you get hurt, when you stumble, they're not there to pick you up. It's you and maybe a close group around you. And when you start to figure that out, like, yes, you can still give everything you have to those people, because if that's who you are, that's who you are. That's who I am. For aside from not being warm and fuzzy, if I give you something, or if I love you, or if I want to support you, I give you everything I have. And I can't change it because it makes me miserable to be the other way. So I got to take the lickings I take because of it, but I feel better in general, not all the time, but in general, I feel better for it. And again, I have to look at it. Was it a pocket lint day? Was it just a bad day? Was it a bad week? Was it a bad hour? Was it a bad year? Well, no, it's not a bad year. Like I said, Monday, we woke up, took the boys to school, processed a bunch of cattle at the house, left from the house, gathered and branded 2 different pastures worth of cattle. My mom brought the boys up, and then we got to go watch them play baseball. So really, did I work really hard for a long time? Yeah, I did. And I still got to go hang out with my kids, watch them play, and so I will sacrifice some things by working hard, but at the same time, like, I am lucky. Like, I'm lucky. Look, my boys get to go to a nice school. They're healthy for the most part. James and I are healthy,
You know, work beside your kids though too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that's like I said, I think I just need to practice being more grateful for what isn't placed in front of us, because sometimes I worry way too much about shit that's not even going to happen or potentially could happen, all the what ifs, the whys. And if I just
I will tell you, with the stuff we're going through right now, that would have never been on my list of catastrophes that could have happened. Never been on my list. And it's like, again, right, I'm the nihilistic optimist. It'll be what it's going to be, for better or worse. It's going to be what it's going to be. So why am I going to worry about what I can and can't control? Why am I going to worry about who I can and can't control? Because, man, people don't like me a lot. People also love me. So, I had someone come up to me at Queen Creek, and she's like, Remy, I just love you. And I was like, good. I said, because I'm a very divisive character. You either love or hate me. I don't really fall in the middle for a lot of people. But, and again, do I change that about myself? Well, no, like, I can. But again, the people that love me, they love me because of what other people see as a negative about me.
It's healthy for people to change. Like, I mean, to work so hard to change so everybody loves you, that's unrealistic, and you never.
No, and it's the
same you are to appease somebody else, I guess.
When it's like, it's the same thing too, right? A friend to everyone is a friend to no one. Because at some point you have to take a stand. You can say that you want to stay out of it. At some point, a stand has to be taken. And,
Oh my God, I might need a nap.
Yeah, I got to go to the chiropractor. I really can't walk. I was fine riding. I just had to get on. That was the step I had to take.
The getting off that hurts.
Yeah, I had this problem. My shoer was making fun of me as I was hobbling around yesterday. He was like, so is it seasonal? Because I forgot that this happened to me about the same time last year. So I'll go to the chiropractor. I'll get that fixed. I will not take better care of myself. I will still lift too many heavy things. My mom was like, I know you forget that you're a girl sometimes, right? Like, I know you forget this because you're strong. You don't need to lift all those things the way that you lift them. But again, like, I was having another conversation with someone else that runs show hogs, and he was talking about, like, you don't think you work super hard at some things that I see as big tasks because you're used to doing them, right? It's like, if you're used to cleaning 20 pens, well, then you're used to it. And someone else will come and they're like, the fuck are you doing? And you're like, yeah, I don't know. I'm used to it. But, it's, again, you need someone from the outside to be like, take a breath. Everything's okay. Even if your sock falls down in your boot and you have pocket lint and the sun's at the wrong angle in the sky, we'll try tomorrow.
Yeah.
And, it happened to me yesterday. The reason I thought about it happened to me yesterday during a lesson. A lady came and she's like, my horse does not feel right. was like, and I was riding her other horse. I said, okay, do you want to switch horses? She's like, no, I'm going to stay on this one for a minute. I said, okay. So we were riding, and then I switched horses with her, and she's like, this one doesn't feel right. And I was like, and she looked at me, she's like, it's a pocket lint day. I got pocket lint. I know I have pocket lint today. And I was like, okay, right. Let's get done what we can get done, and then you can
Go on with the day.
Yeah, then you can go get yourself a burrito and a Coke and have fun. Right. But and I think the other hard part for people is you can't take yourself that seriously. Like, I really don't take myself that seriously. I don't think anyone should take themselves that seriously. I think none of us are getting out of this alive. We all end the same. We all end the same place.
With you.
Yep. So for me,
well, I think I'll see you this weekend, right?
I think so. If I can walk, if I can get my back fixed.
Well, until next time, ladies, be bold,
be brave,
and be humble. We'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye.